three. One, two, three. Hi guys, it's Wisdom here, and it's been a couple of weeks since I last did live, and I hope you guys are well. And if you're watching the replay later on, you are welcome to just type in the comments hashtag replay. Yeah, I think it's been a very interesting year. It's been a very interesting year in a lot of places, in a lot of areas as well. So I think the title of the video is Divine Alignment, Things to Consider. So today I want to talk about two things to consider relating to joining any church or being part of any church and things like that. Now, someone who asks, why is that important? That is important is because we've seen that there's a change that has happened in the marketplace over the last few years. We've seen that spirituality is playing a key role in terms of spirituality. This is why we're talking about, you're finding a lot of leaders, managers, you name it, CEOs, you name it, entrepreneurs. I have retreats with the connected to nature and things like yoga and all the other forms of spirituality that they tap into, that I would get into. So obviously that means when you are in the marketplace, you are in a place where you've got people of different spiritual persuasions. So obviously for someone who's in the kingdom, someone who's in the church, obviously you want to look at that as well in terms of being in the right place. And of course, relating to the church as well, we've seen over the years, and even just this year alone, we've had many scandals. We've had maybe one musician saying out they're turning up from the faith, and also we had situations where maybe pastors have said, no, they don't believe in God anymore, or maybe there's been a doctrinal change. So what I want to do today is just talk about a few things, but I want to zero in on two things, and then we'll see how we go with time. But yeah, so one would ask them and say, why am I going into that? Well, the thing about that is, when you talk about wisdom international, really it's about unleashing the little bit within and being unleashed into the marketplace. And I think it's safe to say that for a lot of people, there are a lot of things that are holding them back in terms of relationships, in terms of spirituality, and also in terms of their ability to show up in the marketplace as they should. So that's one of the key things about wisdom international. It's about unleashing the little within, looking at those key fundamentals that sort of hold people back, and then by identifying those things, you can smash them through it, and people can step into whatever they need to step into, whether it's season or maybe sometimes it's actually launching into purpose. Just the other day, someone inboxed me asking about hijack, inboxed me about tips on how in terms of tips regarding writing, because they're basically saying, look, for me, I'll write whatever I feel. Obviously, that is a big issue. But obviously I know the person has a bit of a passion in terms of writing, so obviously that's the coaching element of international, because I truly believe that when where a book is, it's a good way to establish thought leadership, not only that, but also in terms of getting your message across. So having said all that, let's come back to what I'm going to talk about, which is basically in terms of the church. But I think it's safe to say for a lot of people, I think from growing up, most people would never had really the type of thoughts in terms of going deeper, in terms of what to look for, in terms of churches and things like that. For most people, I think it was a case of either mom and dad, they introduce you to the church, and then you become part of it, your friend and stuff like that. People just go to church 1, 2, 3 times and then become part of it. For a lot of people, they never had the thought already in terms of thinking deep about that. But obviously, some have changed along the way. They've changed, become Catholic, all the other things, moving into Pentecostal. Things like that changes will happen. But obviously now we're at a place where, like I was saying before, we've seen scandals happening. We've seen people say, preaching one type of message, one season, they turn around, they say they do a backslip from that message, saying, I know that message, from God. God doesn't have to do that anymore, and things like that. And also, the Bible talks about Ichabod, which talks about the glorious Devine. Now you're talking about dry place, but unfortunately, I think for a lot of people, you know that you've already seen that. Some people have already been feeling that some of the places you visited or whatever the case might be, you feel that they're dry. Now obviously you don't want to be in a place like that. You don't want to be in a dry place. Now there are many things that one needs to look at that, but I think I'll probably have to do another live stream on that. Okay, so let's get into it. The two main things we're going to look at today is vision. I've seen people many times over the years who give to a church for a long time, and then along the way they get disappointed. They walk out, then they carry a hurt for the next few years. Some people actually walk away from God, basically because of that. Because they've been hurt. Now, and sometimes when you look at objectively, sometimes you can actually see that maybe the whole issue has nothing to do with the church or the leaders or anything like that. It's actually to do with the vision, in the sense that maybe the person or maybe those individuals can never look at the vision. Because obviously you want to be in a place where the vision that you're under is sort of is in alignment with where you're going, or vice versa. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't benefit anyone when the vision is going north in terms of beliefs and everything else, but you are going south. Obviously, there's going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem in the situation. So this is all about identifying those little things that can actually cause offense and cause people to be in a place where they shouldn't be. So obviously that's one thing, one of the key things we want to look at in terms of the vision, in terms of are you in alignment, do you agree with the vision in terms of, and then of course you've got cases where maybe the vision is not properly defined because maybe the leaders aren't clear. But then in such a case, one would then ask in terms of where exactly they're going and where they take root. Which for some people you might take this for granted and say, our vision, that's something basic. But it might not be. Because if you can take that same concept and apply that to marketplace, right? You find most organizations, if they're going to take you on board, one of the key questions they ask you is, what's your vision over the next 2 to 3 years? Because what they're trying to check is to see, in terms of a vision and your beliefs, stuff like that, does it align with the organization? Or they might take you and then maybe a couple of months later, you fall off, you backtrack or you leave or things like that. So they want to make sure that from the get-go, your vision is in alignment with what they're trying to do in the organization, or maybe see how your vision matches in with their vision, or how their vision suits your vision, if that makes sense. Yeah, so because this is one of the reasons why sometimes changes happen, because people start together, but then along the way, you find it's a case where maybe the pastor says, look, we're changing cities, or maybe we're changing neighborhoods, and I've seen cases where some pastors say we're changing neighborhoods, and then some members and some leaders said, well, we don't feel like we're going to change the neighborhood and go there. So obviously now that's when division happened, and then you now have church splits. One person says, okay, I'm going to go, and then you're going to have a congregation goes to the pastor and have to go to another pastor. Now what's interesting in those cases is you find that sometimes it can be a cycle, because once the church goes they start theirs, guess what happens? Theirs then split to somebody within the leadership takes off with another bunch of people and stuff like that. So obviously you don't want that, but obviously by checking the vision, then it means at least once you check the vision, it's in alignment with where you're going and vice versa, then that means you can be able to be part of that. But if it's a case where it's not aligning, then obviously you're going to have a problem. So that's one part, which is all to do with the vision, because you see that, for example, people who are not who may be into a lot of habit deliverance, and you might find when they come in a place where deliverance is not happening, they don't have an issue. And but sometimes it's not necessarily the fact that there's something wrong with leadership, it's just the fact that these visions are not aligning. So one has a choice in terms of what's the next point. Otherwise, one can continue in the cycle where there's frustration and disappointment, because you've set yourself for disappointment because the vision you're under is not in alignment with you and vice versa. It happens, but obviously nobody wants to see church split happen. But I think this is some of the things that happens where people can start off together, but then along the way the vision changes, where maybe the leaders are sort of going in on a tangent or in a different direction to what they started off with. Naturally, you pick up some people picked up, some people fall off. It is what it is. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is culture. Yes, culture plays a role as well, because obviously one want to look at the culture in terms of, do you agree with the culture? what's happening, and all those things. But obviously, for some, one of the ways people look at a culture in terms of identifying the culture is probably listening to the messages that come across. I think I had one story of somebody was asked to speak instead in place, but then the people who had organized that event found one of the YouTube videos where this pastor was talking, saying, look, I allow people to drink alcohol and stuff like that. And then when they found out probably a day before the event, they rang the pastor and said, look, unfortunately we don't believe in what you're saying, so we have to cancel your appointment. So that appointment was cancelled because she believed that people should be allowed to drink alcohol, but obviously that particular church didn't believe in that. They didn't believe that a Christian should drink. They believe that Christians should not drink at all. That was their belief. So they don't agree with that teaching of saying, look, drink in moderation. That's a whole different topic altogether. But the reason I'm saying so is just giving an example in terms of some of the things that can happen when you listen to culture and things like that. So basically, this was someone who was visiting, and that's how it ended. And they never managed to speak at that particular event because they were turned down on that basis that, look, what you're teaching and what we teach, it doesn't align. So it ended like that. So you want to think about that as well in terms of your own situation and stuff like that, in terms of whether that culture is something you agree with and things like that. But I think the biggest thing is, of course, that issue of dry places. I think you find that when it talks about Ichabod, the glorious Satan. Now, there are many reasons why it doesn't necessarily start off like that from the beginning. You find sometimes people start off well, they're doing the right thing, they're living along the way. Maybe a building has become an idol. Maybe having a private jet has become an idol. So what that does is trickles down. And I think one thing you find that, I think it's a well-known thing in both kingdoms, that the anointing flows from the head. It's all known in both kingdoms. So so that obviously that will have an impact in terms of once there's idolatry and everything. And naturally you find that God gives warnings for correction and stuff like that, and then ultimately you then come to a place where you become a dry place. And then by the time, I think in most cases, by the time a scandal comes and breaks out many times, they've been dry for a long time. But I guess one of the crazy ones this year was one I saw probably 3 weeks ago. The video was crazy, and I got a chance to do it. I never had a chance to watch it, but I just knew, just from the feeds and my time on that, look, in my newsfeed, that this is something I was going to watch. And then a few days after, on the Monday, Tuesday, he made another mistake. He comes on video, does a video on YouTube saying, look, that's what he's into, which is crazy. But I didn't say that. Personally, I think all that noise, it's much of a distraction. It's so designed to distract people from shining their light and actually doing the work of building the kingdom. Because ultimately, I think this is what it's about. It's about building the kingdom. So one of the reasons why we talk about that is because we've seen over the years, over the last, just this year alone, we've seen people saying, look, they've died, and then they've arose, and then, and things like that. But ultimately, also the result of that, where, that fake miracle of the guy who got involved in that, I'm sad to say, but he passed away because he don't play with God like that. I had another guy from one of the countries. With him, what had happened, he did a miracle of a sickness of some sort, and then what happened is that after that, he had that sickness, and even up to now, I think he kind of confesses that he believed that the reason why he had that was because he had faked that. And that's how God dealt with him and stuff like that. Now God dealt with that. But even say that, I think the most important thing I want to stress here is, of course, that issue of avoiding the dry places and stuff like that. So, but obviously this is a big issue because naturally we want to be in a place where we're not distracted by the scandal or by the noise and all the chaos that's happening. This one does this. No, I think to me that's ridiculous. It's better to focus on the kingdom and work on the kingdom. But obviously from time to time, particularly when one season is ending and another one is beginning to start, people tend to relook and re-examine certain things. So that's one of the reasons I tend to do this live to talk about those two things, and of course we'll do more live streams later. We'll talk about different things, but I want to talk today about maybe those two things to consider: vision and the culture. But obviously, if someone says divine alignment, some might think that that's going to be cute, all they're trying to be sophisticated. Actually, it's not even about that, because I think if you read those where it says, "Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That means there's God's agenda, then there's the earth, the will that's happening on earth. And sometimes there's a misalignment. And heaven's agenda is different from what people are looking for. And that's a whole different story, because that also affects the issue around prayer, because it's so easy for people to just hammer down their own agendas, but they haven't checked what heaven's agenda is. You know, happen to where people make mistakes. But yeah, so you find people say, we'll climb around, a particular agenda that they want to respond to, but instead of being the reverse in terms of actually finding what is God's agenda, and then they align themselves with God's agenda. Most times people are not in a place where there's kind of shopping or declaring. The time for that, declaring, speaking, declaring, and all this other good stuff to find. And sometimes people get lost in the process because they're now getting these things where it's become a shopping cart, where want that, the shopping cart mentality. Or maybe some people call it shopping cart Christianity, where it's about I want that. But sometimes it's not even about that. It's actually looking at one's heaven's agenda. When that happens, then it means it's easy for to align themselves and say, look, I'm going to align myself with heaven's agenda, other than trying to again heaven's agenda change to make your agenda. See what I mean? Yeah. So that's something that one want to look at, but obviously this is a very big topic. But having said that, today I'm going to do something special in celebration for Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and of course Cyber Monday. What I've done is, just for 96 hours, you can get the Devine Alignment Masterclass. I've got 50 for you, so you can get that for only $4 bucks. I'll put the link below the video. But so what happened in the Devine Alignment Masterclass, it don't cost further in terms of some of the things to look up for in churches. It also covers things like some of the signals that you might want to look at in terms of dry places. And also, it covers things like finances related to what's happening in the marketplace. No, I know a lot of Christians were trying to talk about finances and the kingdom of somebody give them. It's more than that. Because in the Devine Alignment Masterclass, we also look at that in terms of how industry is changing. Because I know some people right now you've been dealing with maybe redundancies, there's nothing wrong with you. It's that the marketplace is shifting, technology is moving in, the systems and all the other things that are causing organizations to start to cut down, because they're like, you know what, we're now right, we've got our artificial intelligence, we now have got bots coming in, we now have got all these we now have got automation coming in place. So where maybe there's some organizations where they need 10 people, they now need 4, some need 5, some people now need 2. It is what it is. The marketplace is shifting. So in the Devine Alignment Masterclass, when I start talking about finances, that's when I start talking about how the change in technology is affecting the change in technology is affecting the marketplace, and also how there's a lot of redundancies in many places. Some people, if nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with your skills. It's just that maybe the skills you've had over the years, it's time maybe to shift them or maybe change one or two things, because the market is shifting, industry is changing. So that's definitely affecting the number of workers required in particular jobs. That's affecting even things like wages as well. So in the Devine Alignment Masterclass, when it comes to finances, I look at that as well. And then of course, we also talk about relationships, where I cover one of the key things I look at that is 2 of the most important relationships in life, which is your pastor and of course your parents. I explain in detail as to why that's important. And and then not only that, but you also get my controversial book, Head-to-Head with Jezebel. So in Head-to-Head with Jezebel, this is where we talk about the Jezebelic tendencies and all those things you want to look at that are warning red flags. Warnings that can help you prevent getting abused, both in leadership and also even in romantic relationships. Look, the story in Australia is open at this point is that Australia has got one of the highest rates of domestic violence, and I think last time I checked, the stats were like any point where it was saying like one woman dies every single week. Now that is crazy. That is crazy. Having said that, there hasn't been much focus in terms of domestic violence when it comes to men, because of the day the truth of the matter is even men too get abused, get abused in relationships. But then there are two layers to that. One of those issues is that for a lot of men they're taught to toughen up all that, so they don't come forward. Okay, so you find that even so, from all the numbers that have been where this is going on, fewer do take the time to make reports. But others were done. Well, for a lot of men, it's a case of saying, "Look, that don't tough it out and stuff like that, or don't make why don't make cry baby and stuff." But really, the other situation is there are men getting injured, there are men getting burned with hot water, there are many men getting injured in an abusive situation. I think there's a video that came out probably a few weeks ago where a lady was beating a man up for, I think she kind of was throwing punches at him for like almost like a straight minute. Didn't do anything, and then he moved a few meters. She followed him again. She started beating him up again, and then it reached a point where it was just too much, and then that's when she retaliated. That's when he retaliated, and then the whole thing was. So it was kind of a very polarizing video. I'm not gonna get into that, but the key point is that sometimes by understanding those things, prevention is better than cure. So in head-to-head with Jezebel, I go deep into that. Now this offer is only for 96 hours. It's a once-in-a-decade offer. So only now is over the next for the next 96 hours. One of the reasons I'm doing that is obviously in the next 2 weeks it's the dawning of a new decade. So what you can talk about together, because I believe that 2020 is what we call a two-leaf gate. You can read that. You can read that in example 5. We talked about two-leaf gates. 2020 is that. That's a topic for another day. But the most important thing is that you take advantage of this opportunity over the next 96 hours. Divine Alignment Masterclass. Now, when I recorded it, you find that the information that is there can even take you to 2021. So, yeah, and then so just a refresher, you're gonna get the full class, and then of course head-to-head with Jezebel, which comes in as a bonus. This is only for 96 hours. All right. So having said that, I gotta bounce, guys, and I'll put the link below. And always remember, you have an uncommon destiny. And this is yours truly, Wiz. And catch you guys later. See ya.